Guys of a Certain Age is brought to you by no one. Absolutely no one. Except these dudes walking down memory lane. Now let's head to the studio to see what they misremember next.
And we're back, Guys of a Certain Age. Robbie Koblenz in studio, surrounded by
Art Shirley
and Jay Reed. They've ganged up on me. I don't know what I'm going to do. So how are you guys doing today?
Doing okay.
Just fine. Fine.
It's an audio podcast, Jay. Nodding doesn't work. How are you doing? Jay nods silently. So
won't AI come in and give us
You might be recording this. You never know. Video.
Yeah, no, I'm not. No, I do not want this video.
The on-air sign is truly a camera.
I don't want to be responsible for this video making its way somewhere that we don't want it to go. So, but all right, are we ready for summer? I mean, the heat's here, the humidity's here, and Art's in long sleeves.
Yeah, because it's you have to dress for the office.
Yeah. Do you have a heater in your office like Bonnie does?
I do not. I had a heater in my old office that I never used. It was a fan as well.
Yeah.
And I've offered it to someone who says they're freezing to death. I said, okay, well, I've got a heater if you want it. But no, I can't ever remember being too cold.
Yeah.
In that office. But
my wife, who's right across the suite from Art, her office gets quite cold.
Not anymore.
Oh, did you move?
Yeah, I'm in a different office now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, where Bonnie's by herself back there in the library.
That's right. That's the way it goes. We can talk about that later off mic. So let's jump into some Geeks
that's
of the
my
Week.
Geek of the Week.
Well, we've got a special guest, which on the second half of the show, which is really
and
cool.
you don't mean me, just because I hadn't been here in a while.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Who are you? Yeah, that's right. So, who wants to go first?
I'll go first,
like usual.
As usual. Yeah.
There you go.
As his voice quits on him entirely.
Yeah, that's right. All right.
Godzilla -1 is...
that was going to be my second. Yeah. Oh, that's okay. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Godzilla -1 is... Godzilla. I mean, we can see, there goes Tokyo. Go. You could play that on your boombox if you wanted to.
Oh, yeah, I have my boombox here. Well, shout out to my wife. Best birthday present ever.
Well, that could be your second key.
It's a replica boombox. No, it's not. It's like
that would be a good
old.
one.
Yeah.
That actually would be a good one.
So, but
Godzilla -1, the movie that came out from Toho Studios. It is not a part of the legendary, is that what it's called?
The Monsterverse.
Monsterverse, yeah. It's a throwback to the old Godzilla movies that were made and did quite well. Actually won an Oscar, didn't it? Or was nominated for an Oscar.
Oh, won an Oscar for visual effects.
Yeah. Have you watched it? Have either of y'all watched it?
No. I saw your note. I'm going to do that.
I'm telling you need to watch it. I mean, it's like I said, it feels very much like an old Godzilla movie. Now, the one on Netflix is the English dub version.
Yeah.
Which is fine with me to watch. My sons are purists and said, no, you need to watch it. And I'll go back and watch it with Japanese audio and English subtitles. And some of the phrasing and dialogue is very much of this time, even though the movie is supposed to take place right after World War II in the 50s and stuff. And, there's some stuff that sounds very much of
I'm going to put this on the gram.
Yeah. Something. Oh, yeah, that would be hilarious. But the look of it is very much like those early movies that were done. And what they did with Godzilla is they created a CGI version of someone in a rubber suit. So he moves like someone that's in a rubber suit, but the body, doesn't have the limitations of the rubber suit. So they were able to do more stuff with him. And it just really works really well. And some of the shots, I mean, there's some shots that if you're familiar with the old movies or whatever, there was always a shot of buses being blown down a street, the model buses. So all this stuff, as far as I know, is created in a computer as opposed to actual models. But they have that look. I mean, there's a scene where a fighter pilot is circling Godzilla in a big field, and it looks for all the world like this is some model plane on a string. And maybe they did. There's another scene that I've seen that's seen on Facebook that people are talking about, and it's where Godzilla is swimming after this boat, and it looks like, it doesn't look real. I mean, it doesn't look like a real creature, but it looks like a real automated, animated kind of thing. I'm sorry, automation, like a physical structure as opposed to CGI, because it's the waves are reacting with it, as they should, and it's really, really good. The movie, is like is typical for what it,
it's pretty fun, right?
What does -1 mean?
All right, that's a good question, because that's what Becky and I both asked, and so I thought it was something almost like Batman Year One or whatever, like it was, because it's an origin story basically. But what they're saying is Japan was at its lowest point after World War II. Bombs have been dropped, and the people were just, devastated by all that happened, and they couldn't get any lower. Well, all of a sudden, Godzilla shows up. So if they were at 0 before, now they're at -1.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and there's also a version that'll be coming out later.
Godzilla
Netflix.
+2.
No, Godzilla -1 minus color, where they released a black and white version in theaters as well. That was like here for a day, I think. I wanted to go
because we talked about it.
Yeah, we talked about going to see it, and it was both of them only ran a short period of time locally, but I know some people that saw it, and the minus color is supposed to look more like the original Godzilla movie that came out. But
I'm looking forward to it.
It's a lot of fun.
No, go ahead.
The fact that it's on Netflix, I thought was nice, because you can kind of watch it and go, okay, and then if you want to own it later, you can.
Did you put in our chat message that you were going to do Godzilla -1?
I did not.
Okay, so I thought I missed something, and I didn't.
I did not.
You did not.
That's why I went first.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's okay. That's okay. Jay, well, here, let me do
mine. I guess my next one's going to be about your boombox.
So I will do a celebrity obituary. So William Russell, who was one of the first companions for Doctor Who, has died. He played Ian Chesterton on the original An Unearthly Child episode of Doctor Who. He was a teacher at Coal Hill School, and he was on the show like 63, 64, something like that. He has made a couple of appearances. In 2022, there was a grouping of former companions of the Doctor who were getting together to talk about traveling with the Doctor, and he appeared in that episode. So he holds the Guinness Book World Record of playing the same character most years apart. So,
wow. Okay. So the space between him playing the
was what
the character.
Yeah, was 60 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wonder who's next closest to that.
I don't know, but how old was he? You'd think I'd lead with that. No, nobody's got. Anyway, he was old.
So it seems like lately most of the companions, at least since I've been watching lately, is female companions to male doctors.
Yeah.
Was there a long stretch of male companions in the beginning? Is that kind of how it?
So the first TARDIS crew, as they have started to call it, was a male teacher, a female teacher, and the granddaughter. And then it would kind of alternate. You would have male companions along with female companions. And there's been a history of having multiple companions at one time. Like at the end of Tom Baker's run in 80, you had 2 females and a male.
Okay.
So, but let's see if I can find, how old was he when he passed? 24 to 20. Oh, he was 100 years old. Oh, my goodness.
Nice.
At 99. He was born November in 24 and died June of 24.
So almost made it to 100. That's
how
you win
crazy
those records.
Is that? Yeah. So he was in The Great Escape. He was in Superman as well.
What's his name again?
William Russell. He was in Coronation Street, which is like the longest running soap opera in the world.
I mean, it's one of those things. Usually any actor that has, that comes from England, you'll see one of their IMDb credits is Coronation Street.
Yeah. Everybody does Coronation Street. He was in Death Watch. He was in The Great Escape, The Man Who Never Was. Those are movies, and he's got a pretty long... he's done a ton of television. But anyway, he passed away earlier this week.
I'm looking at him. I recognize him.
Yeah. Anyway, pretty fascinating. Just
and this thing in 2022 was he played the companion. It wasn't like a documentary of
no. He played the companion in 2022.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So
try to slip in on technicality there.
Yeah. No, he was Ian Chesterton in.
Sweet.
I mean, yeah, it was Ian Chesterton. I always get the names confused with the ones I never paid much attention to. So, but yeah, just kind of crazy. So, but that's Art's usually our celebrity death watch guy. So this was my contribution to it.
Happy to let somebody else take that.
Yeah. What you're watching Doctor Who now? What are you watching?
Well, I'm not actively watching. I did watch the 3 specials. I think I'm one special short, and I'm not actively watching. But I've watched more lately than I have previous years. Put it that way.
Yeah. So you haven't gotten into the new season of Ncuti Gatwa? Mm-hmm. I have really enjoyed Ncuti Gatwa as the Doctor.
You have?
I have.
Good.
But the problem is he is also, when they were shooting this season of Doctor Who, they're also shooting the final season of Sex Education on Netflix, which you've watched, right? Art, did you?
I watched that. No, Sex Education? No, I haven't watched that.
It's like in the 5th series or something, 5th season on Netflix. Anyway, so they've had a couple what they call Doctor Light episodes where he's in for just, at the beginning or at the end for a little bit so he could finish out his contractual obligation for that show. But he's been great. This last Dot and Bubble, the episode that dropped this last Friday as we record, phenomenal, very, very heavy, and you don't think that's what it's going to be when you get into it. So I love his gravitas. I'd wanted an older actor to play the Doctor. He pulls it off fairly well. So, but I've enjoyed it quite a bit.
Well, good deal. I'm glad to hear that.
But anyway, all right.
And that's available all on Disney Plus now,
on Disney Plus. And let me tell you, the Disney Plus money, the effects are fabulous.
Really?
It is the best effects I've ever seen in Doctor Who ever. And you could tell the money has gone on screen. So, anyway, Jay.
All right. Well, I have another celebration of life to talk about, but I'll save that for another time.
Celebration of life. That's a nice way to put it.
We have Death Watch. He has celebrations of
Death
life.
Watch.
Yeah.
I'll take it a way, way, way off, less serious, just to announce that when Deadpool Wolverine movie comes out, there will be a Wolverine popcorn.
I saw that.
My gosh.
Yeah.
I wondered if you'd have that one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
I don't like to say I thought of you when I saw
did.
it.
Yeah, thank you. I did look it up, and it is supposedly real. Of course, the Dune sandworm bucket was the first, which has opened a frightening door, I think.
You were going to say can of worms.
Don't rub spice in the wound.
That dry humor.
Oh boy.
He went ahead and duned it.
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
I don't know.
Carry on.
Just trying.
All right, you go.
So the thing you got to watch is the video that Ryan Reynolds or whoever the movie put out with this.
I'm doing it right now.
Popcorn bucket dance, spinning around in the popcorn and the butter. It's just it. Yeah. Yes. It's NSFW.
Yes,
they kept
it
saying.
absolutely is.
Yeah. But that's going to be, I believe, AMC theaters. Regal Cinemas has something else they put on Instagram. They announced they're going to have some sort of drink popcorn combo thing, but they show this chair, and one thing I read said it was kind of like a, what's his name from the Charles from the X-Men chair almost.
Professor
Xavier. Yeah, so it spins around, and then but before it gets all the way around, a TVA notice comes up and says spoiler alert, and so you don't get to see what's coming.
Oh, okay.
But so there will be 2. Of course, I think we are a UEC theater locally. We won't have AMC or Regal, so we'll have to buy it off eBay for.
I'm trying to think what there's a Cinemark, there's a Malco in Tupelo and the Cinemark in Tupelo.
Yeah,
and that's where I got that Indiana Jones collector's hat. One of those 2 places. But
so are you guys interested in Deadpool?
Yeah,
Wolverine?
I kind of want to see it. I mean,
I do too.
It's been a guilty pleasure. I go, but it's hilarious. They're really, really, really well done. The first one I really liked a whole lot. The second one I did too, but the first one just was kind of groundbreaking.
Yeah, and people breaking too.
People breaking.
Lots of people.
That's right.
Since I've been watching Welcome to Wrexham, I've become bigger
Rob Reynolds fan.
Ryan Reynolds. Yeah. But yeah.
Anyway.
So
anyway. And I heard that he really wanted to kind of outdo what the Dune popcorn bucket had been.
Of course he does.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but anyway,
I will not be purchasing one, I'm sure, but I do think it's fascinating that this new trend. look forward to see what else comes along.
Who knows? Who knows? All right. Well, that's going to do it for this segment. On the other side of the break, a special guest, my buddy Jim Biddle, who was on a TV show that if you're our age, you might have watched. Up next. And we're back. You might recall that a few weeks ago we talked about who killed the video star, the podcast. That was the rise and fall of MTV. Art J and I talked about it. I don't think the guys have listened to it yet, but there was an episode that talked about alternative programming on MTV and how MTV started to experiment with things like game shows, things that were not music video. And of course, my mind immediately goes to my good friend Jim Biddle, Dr. James Biddle, correct? Jim? I mean, I should call you.
No, actually, no, just a master's degree. So it's just.
Oh, you're just, well, you've got more than I do. I have a 10 years bachelor's in that's it. So Jim Biddle, who actually teaches at the University of Georgia. And Jim, we've known each other for what, 10 years at this point from editor's retreat stuff? And
I'm thinking it's close to 10 or 12.
Yeah. I can't count that high. I've only got a bachelor's degree after.
I can't even remember yesterday.
Yeah. I don't know what I had for breakfast. So, but one of the things I found out a few years ago was Jim was on remote control in 1990. And it's like, Jim, why don't you have this on your business card? After your position at the University of Georgia in the communication department, then one remote control in 1990. I mean, you buried the lead. I mean, come on, man. So.
Okay. So I used it. I still have it. Now here's how old I am. I have it on like 1-inch video.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah. I may send it to you as a gift. But what I used to do is with my students like this, and this is going back years now, I would say if everybody got an A in the class, you can watch me on an episode of Remote Control. And students would be very excited. If I were to do that now, students would be like, what are you talking about? What's a remote control? What?
Did somebody... Did somebody put your face on a piece of plastic with buttons on it or something, right?
Exactly. There's no nostalgia value for it that students or a lot of people I know have. So it's just like, we'll just put that up there on the shelf and call it what it was.
So we'll set the stage. Now you graduated high school in '87, correct?
Yes, I did. And
you went to Syracuse, so you were already in the New York area. I mean, Syracuse is not like, it's a train ride.
It's a 4-hour train ride, into the city. But Syracuse was also kind of known for, and I think I'm going to get this right. I don't know. It's been such a long time in that, the graduates were part of what they kind of referred to as the Syracuse Holy Trinity of like, there's a lot of graduates at the time that were from Syracuse at ESPN, a lot of them at MTV. And I want to say the third one was QVC, but I can't remember.
Gotcha.
So those were those were places that were known for having Syracuse graduates.
Well, and I know when I was looking at schools, I knew I couldn't afford Syracuse, and I was just not ready.
No, neither could I, but I decided, what the hell, why not?
Well, yeah. But Syracuse and Emerson in Boston and NYU were kind of the top comm schools. I went a different way, but Syracuse just has an amazing reputation of turning out communication graduates, and obviously you may be one of them.
And then there was me, so that's like as I like to tell the students, you're getting the best education from the best C+ students from the Newhouse School ever. So there you go.
Remember, C's get degrees. That's what my youngest son is going into his senior year at Mississippi State. Likes to tell us, C's get degrees. He keeps his academic scholarship, and he's still living at home.
You might build the next building on campus. That's usually what happens from the C students.
Yeah, exactly. So, but anyway, all right. So you are, if I'm doing my math right, you were on remote control in 1990. You had been in your junior year at Syracuse. Is that correct?
Yeah, that would have been junior year.
Okay,
yeah.
So I'm gonna let you talk from here. How did you find out about the audition process, and tell me about auditioning for remote control?
Okay, so we're talking the 80s into the 90s here, and the best social media you had on campus was either flyers or the amazing Daily Orange newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody sort of knew about it from word of mouth and from the Daily Orange that they were going to have a big audition at the Shine Student Center in like the big room. And a lot of people turned out, and the way they had a fairly good system was I think they sent like 4 people. And what you did was you took a written test.
Okay.
And you put your name on it, and then you turned it in, and then everybody that got a certain score, they were allowed to stay. And so my roommate, Matthew, who is an awesome human being and should have been on the show because he's far smarter than I am. We both made it to the second round, and the second round was you had to do a skit.
Okay.
Which was kind of like, okay, so this really isn't a game show as much as it is sort of a free-for-all with trivia questions. Okay, we get it. And, Matt and I were in the Newhouse program at the time. It's like, oh, so that's why the show's like that. Oh, okay, trying to be incredibly smart about everything. And Matt just did not want to do a skit. So he got up there and he looked at the 4 people from MTV. He goes, yeah, sorry, just no, thank you. And then walked off, which I was really hoping they'd pick him for doing that because it was actually really funny. I think I went up there. I've been trying to remember it, but I think what I did was an impression of, and this is going to be a deep cut. It was an impression of Christopher Lloyd as his character of Reverend Jim on Taxi, but as the Klingon overlord in Star Trek 3.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's not a deep cut for this show at all. Okay.
That was a pretty deep cut. And I think I did that. And so from there, it got moved down to less people, and then you did a mock version of the show. So they took you up on stage with 2 other people, and I think they just have it sit behind desks, and they would ask us questions. And the questions would go from relatively easy to like painfully obscure. And all I remember of that is I only remember one of the questions, but I remember I answered all 3 of the painfully obscure questions correctly. And the woman that was doing it just kept looking at me going, "Who are you?" And I remember my response was, "Very lonely." And that made all 4 of the people from MTV laugh. And I was pretty sure maybe I'm on the show. I don't know.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then we all left. And then about 2 weeks later, I got a phone call in my room because that was back when you had to have an answering machine and shit.
Yeah.
And so I get this call and they're like, okay, this is your taping. It wasn't like, can you come in for a taping? There's like, this is when you tape. Like, okay. And I didn't have a car, so I was going to have to take like the bus in. And then my very good friend, Matt, who was my roommate, who tried out but then didn't want it. And then Mark Johnson, who is now a professor here at UGA along with myself. So Mark and I have known each other forever. And Jennifer Kronstein and Matt Sauter, that was his name, they drove me there.
Wow.
We had a great time. And we stayed at Mark's, I think, grandparents' house on Long Island. And then the show itself was taped in a warehouse up in like I think it was above 125th Street in Harlem. It was like around in that area. It's like an old warehouse. And that's when you realize, okay, so this thing has the budget of a nickel and a ham sandwich.
Yeah.
So got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right.
So that's how I got on the show. Yeah.
That's fun. So, I mean, it was a day-long process. I mean, they didn't,
They taped 4 shows a day.
Okay.
So what we had to do, so there were 12 of us. And there were a couple of, I want to say they were production assistants that were in charge of us. Couldn't really tell. They were fun. They were young. They were keeping us, going. and we were going to have to be there all day. I was the third taping. So there were 2 shows before me, and they did it like in real time, which convinced me, yeah, I'm never going into multicam.
Yeah.
Because it was like, it was a half hour, and they take, 2.5 to 3 minute breaks for the commercials. And that's why it was like so cheap, and they just kept it going. Yeah. We were able to watch the other competitors. They gave us pizza, of course, to the production. The funny part was, I just remembered this. They made us, the one thing that we had to do on the form was we had to state our shoe size.
Okay.
And it's like, what? And as soon as we got there, they gave us shoes, and they said, okay, this is one of the sponsors for the show. You have to wear these shoes. And they were British Knights, dude. And it's like, what is on my foot? I'm like this giant basketball shoe. And I'm like, Mr., I like Bad Religion and Black Flag and all this, and then I have these shoes. Wow. Everybody was just telling each other like, okay. And some of us had to trade shoes because they didn't fit right, and it was kind of funny. What? And one of the PA went, he goes, trust me, none of us like the shoes. None of us like the shoes. You just got to wear the shoes. It's like, okay, cool. That's cool.
Because on the set, I mean, you guys were in Lazy Boys, and you had your feet up, right?
Yes, so you could see our feet. There is a really funny story actually about the Lazy Boys. So they all had a different way. So the thing was, if you didn't make the cut, you got pulled off the show in this really crazy way.
Yeah.
And the audience, which in our case, the audience was high school kids bust in from like PS 121 or something. So the audience was like high school kids. And they would do the na, hey, goodbye thing.
Yeah.
All 3 chairs did different things. So the people that I was up against was this woman, Rachel, who I was convinced she was going to win.
Yeah.
She was just smart. I liked her. She was fun. And then this dude named Fish, which his name was not actually Fish. But he was a nice guy, but he was definitely there to assert more of his personality than anything else, which was, I mean, it's fine. It was MTV, but they were having a really big problem because he wanted to sit on the end where the chair like lifts up into the air.
Okay.
And they wanted to put Rachel in that one because she's kind of smaller. Fish was huge.
Yeah.
And they spent a better part of trying to talk him out of being in that chair. He's like, no, I want to be in this chair. And I think they got like 6 or 7 like dudes, maybe Teamsters, that got to operate that chair when he didn't make it.
Because Fish he was more like a whale than a fish, right? He
was a big fella, nice guy, but he was huge. I remember Rachel and I looking at each other like, he better win because if they have to lift him up in that chair, somebody's going to get mad.
Oh,
so they eventually had to lift him up in that chair, and it went. Usually that chair would go, I guess, really fast, but with him it went up in stages like a drawbridge.
All right, I'm going to have
really bad for the guy.
I'm going to have to go back and pay attention to that because I skimmed through the episode. So okay,
yeah.
All right. Yeah. So you were on the far right chair for the competition. All right.
Yeah.
So you get there, your third show of the day. You've seen 2 shows before. You're probably full of pizza and Coke at this point. Once you started competing, give me the setup. I mean, I noticed that Colin comes out as Ken, and Ken pretends like he's Colin on the setup when they're doing the cold open.
Evidently, that was set up. That was set up because our episode was scheduled for St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
And that was the whole thing. Ken Ober was really nice.
Yeah.
A really nice guy. The whole thing that the PAs told us was like, whenever Ken asks you a question and you answer it and you want another category, be polite. Because if not, he'll go to the super hard cards on you.
Okay. So
he was kind of doing that to Fish because Fish was getting a little. But no, Ken came out, and Colin Quinn was, I barely knew who Colin Quinn was. He was very nice.
Yeah.
They came out, they explained the first sketch. They introduced themselves. They said, this is why it's going to be different than other shows and all that. And then they brought out sort of the rest of the people that would be on the show. Who there was, I think she's called Rock Girl or something.
Okay.
She was really nice. And then they brought out Dennis Leary.
Oh, Dennis Leary was on your show. Okay.
Yes. We didn't have Adam Sandler. I think Adam Sandler was first 2 seasons. I think we were third season.
Yeah.
Maybe deeper. I don't know. But, yeah, it was Dennis Leary, and I guess he was doing the show with Colin Quinn because it was like a St. Patrick's Day Irish thing, and they were going to play these Irish brothers or something. And
yeah,
he was really nice. He started complimenting me on the fact that I had really long hair.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
I was like, okay. Yeah.
I had long hair at the time, but my hair, you had me beating long hair. So that was a great look, Jim. Great look. So.
I just didn't like paying for haircuts.
Yeah.
So I just looked like, I fell straight out of the Allman Brothers.
Yeah.
So it was like, yeah.
Yeah, the Allman Brothers who died in a plane crash. Okay,
there you go, or something like that.
Yeah, something
motorcycles.
No, it was Leonard Skinner who was the plane crash. And
yes, that was Leonard Skinner.
Yeah.
See, I wouldn't have gotten that question right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
the way you go. All right, so you they come out, they introduce themselves. You're feeling good about life, and then you get into the show. What happens then?
Basically, I think Fish won the toss to go first. And then, you're answering questions. Some of them were sketches. Some of them are just straight up questions. The only thing I refuse to do is sing along with Colin.
Oh,
I was like, nope, not doing that. You'll see me. I actually put my buzzer down. And he actually commented later, so good for you, kid. Like that. He goes, yeah, you make those decisions. He was really nice. But Dennis Leary said the same thing. There's a segment though that you will see in that after it's sing along with Colin, they have this thing called snack time.
Yeah.
Where they give everybody snacks. Well, we got Twinkies, and they you can also tell that they just basically shot this thing in real time, and they really didn't go back and edit anything. You can see a guy with a camera wandering around.
Okay.
In one of the final scenes, like there's this guy with giant camera with the umbilical on it.
Yeah.
And he's just right in front of the other cameras. But the thing was, he takes this bowl of Twinkies and he turns around backwards and he chucks it at us, and it doesn't do very well. So he has us start giving back. He just starts grabbing the Twinkie and he starts throwing them. You're supposed to technically, when it's snack time, you take your bowl. They give you a bowl for this, and you put it on your head, and they drop something from the ceiling. Well, they didn't do that this time. They had Colin throw the Twinkies, and it didn't go quite as planned. And so he starts taking the Twinkies back. He chucks one at me, and I catch it in the bowl.
Ooh, okay.
Trust me, I wasn't trying to do that. And I kind of look at the camera and go, hey, look at me. And at that point, Fish hits me with a Twinkie, which was perfect. Which he thought later when I'd won and I saw him in the back, he was like, I'm so sorry I hit you with a Twinkie. I was like, what are you talking about? That was amazing.
Yeah.
I said, that was so funny. I look right at the camera thinking I'm so great, and you belt me with a Twinkie. That was amazing.
Sure.
And so what happened was during the in between, Colin just kind of kept chucking Twinkies at me to catch them in the bowl. And I'm like, okay.
Cool.
Like, here you go. I was tossing them out. And the thing was, Rachel was catching them in her bowl next to me.
Yeah.
She was good. I mean, she was awesome. It was and he was having a great time doing it. So.
Oh, that's funny.
And then, yeah.
Well, I was just
go ahead.
I was just going to say, all right, so Fish goes off first, right? He flames out first, and then Rachel, and
well, the one thing that happened that the thing that always happens, and when people would watch it, was everybody thought I was sort of down and out, including Colin, Ken, and all that. And then there was a question that involved the band Mott the Hoople. And I answered the question correctly, and Ken and Colin just looked at me with that same thing during the tryout of like, who are you? They were like, I think Ken says he was duly impressed with my rock and roll knowledge or something like that. Rachel kind of looks at me and she goes, what's that? I don't know. And so at that point, so Fish is out because Rachel tied with me at the, like, toward the end before the final round, because she really came through on the last one. I thought she'd beaten me.
Yeah.
I thought we were both out. I thought she'd won because I'm like, she is running this category. So then Fish is out. So then we have to go to a tiebreaker, and I won the tiebreaker.
All right, I'm going to rudely interrupt myself and Jim because this interview goes for a while. So pretty fast.
You know how Jay feels.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Pretty fascinating stuff. How Jim did the audition for Remote Control.
Yeah, very much so.
And the tie-in, how many Syracuse students ended up on MTV stuff. But
I know.
Anyway, all right, we'll have to. Did you even listen to it, Jay?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, Syracuse. Yeah.
Remote Control.
Alma mater.
Who's alma mater?
My father-in-law.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Wow.
So he's Big Orange, huh?
Yeah.
There you go. All right. We will see you next time.